Миний хамгийн том мөрөөдөл бол диджиталын хэмжээний од болох. Энэ бол миний боломж хөшүүрэг маань болж өгч байна.
A Mongolian cowboy stunned America, then vanished from AGT. What really happened? Enkh Erdene didn't just sing on America's Got Talent. He rewired expectations. A voice that sounded twice his age, pitch-perfect English, and a stage presence that made judges do double takes. Then came the questions, the whispers, and the exit no one saw coming. Today, we trace the whole story, the controversy, the rule that ended his run, and the career that exploded afterward. Awards, tours, a label deal, and a global fan base. Stay to the end, because this shock turned into leverage. The voice that stopped the room. When Enkh Erdene first walked onto the America's Got Talent stage, no one could have guessed what was about to happen. The audience saw a soft-spoken man from Mongolia, nervous but composed, clutching the microphone with quiet determination. Judges leaned forward, curious but cautious. After all, AGT had seen thousands of singers before. What could possibly surprise them now? Then, the first note came, and the room fell silent. His voice wasn't just good, it was shocking. Deep, weathered, and soulful, it carried the grit of a lifelong country singer. The kind you'd expect to hear in a smoky Nashville bar, not from a performer whose first language wasn't even English. The moment Enkh started singing Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks, jaws dropped. The contrast was almost cinematic. A young man from Mongolia delivering pure classic American country with the kind of authenticity that even longtime fans of the genre could feel in their bones. Heidi Klum, who had taken the chance to bring him to the stage, was beaming with pride. Howie Mandel and Simon Cowell looked at each other, half smiling, half in disbelief. The crowd roared midway through the song, unable to contain the energy building in the room. It wasn't just admiration, it was astonishment. People weren't hearing an imitation. They were hearing something real, something unexpected, something that didn't fit any stereotype. Enkh's delivery had heart. He didn't just sing the lyrics, he lived them. Each note seemed to carry both the vastness of Mongolia's plains and the soulful ache of a country ballad. There was something universal in his voice, a bridge between worlds. Viewers watching at home flooded social media with the same question. Who is this guy? And how does he sound like that? Even the judges struggled to put it into words. Simon Cowell called it unbelievable. Howie said he didn't see that coming at all. For Heidi, who had believed in him from the start, it was a moment of validation. She knew talent when she heard it. But even she couldn't have predicted how powerfully Enkh Erdene would connect with the audience. After his audition, clips of his performance spread online faster than anyone expected. Millions of people watched in awe, sharing the video across platforms with captions like, "You won't believe where this country voice comes from." Overnight, Enkh became a sensation, proof that music truly knows no borders. Fans called him the Mongolian Garth Brooks, and for a while, it seemed like he could do no wrong. But the fascination wasn't just about novelty. What set him apart was his emotional honesty. Many singers perform, Enkh confessed. His phrasing, his timing, even the small pauses between lines made it clear he wasn't copying anyone. He was communicating something deeply human. He represented a rare mix of humility and power, the kind of performer who didn't rely on spectacle or gimmicks, just a microphone, a voice, and a song. Behind the stage, even producers were stunned. Few contestants in AGT history had managed to win over both the room and the world that quickly. It was the definition of a breakout moment. In just a few minutes, Enkh had not only conquered the stage, he had redefined what it meant to belong there. For the judges and fans, the performance marked the start of something unforgettable. But for Enkh Erdene, It was only the beginning of a journey that would soon take a sharp, unexpected turn. The applause hadn't even faded before whispers began. Was his performance really as genuine as it seemed, or was something else going on behind the scenes? The question, the rule, the exit. For a few weeks, it seemed nothing could slow Enkh Erdene's rise. His audition had gone viral, his fan base was exploding, and judges were eager to see what he'd sing next. But behind the scenes, cracks were beginning to show, not in his talent, but in the way people were processing it. Some couldn't accept what they were hearing. Could a singer from Mongolia really master country music in perfect English, complete with tone, drawl, and phrasing? Then came the moment that changed everything. During the quarterfinals, after another powerful performance, Howie Mandel voiced the question that had been echoing through online forums and production whispers, "Are you lip-syncing?" The room froze. Gasps rippled through the audience. For a contestant who had just earned global respect, the accusation hit like a storm. Heidi Klum's face said it all. Shock, disbelief, and instant defense. She quickly stepped in, telling both Howie and the crowd that AGT does not allow lip-syncing. It was a rule so strict that even the suggestion of breaking it was damaging. Enkh, stunned but calm, assured everyone that his performance was real. His voice, his song, his heart. Every note came from him. Simon Cowell tried to lighten the tension with a joke about Enkh learning English from YouTube, but the damage was done. The internet ran wild with speculation. Comments flooded in, some defending him passionately, others questioning whether it was possible. What began as a celebration of his voice had turned into a debate about authenticity. Still, Enkh Erdene didn't let the controversy stop him. He kept rehearsing, preparing for the next round, determined to prove he belonged there. His fans rallied, using hashtags like #TrustEnkh and #RealVoice to show support. Even as the whispers continued, he remained the same, humble, focused, grateful for every chance to sing. But then, just as the show reached its most competitive stage, everything changed again. Without warning, Enkh was gone. No farewell performance, no official explanation, just silence. Fans flooded AGT forums and social media, demanding answers. Rumors flew. Was it the controversy, a visa issue, a backstage disagreement? The truth was stranger and more technical than anyone imagined. Enkh Erdene, it turned out, already had a record deal before joining the show, a violation of AGT's eligibility rules. Contestants are required to be unsigned, ensuring that everyone competes on equal footing. The discovery meant that regardless of his talent or popularity, Enkh had to be disqualified. When the news broke, fans were furious. Many felt robbed of the chance to see him in the finals, believing the rule was too rigid for someone whose presence had already transcended borders. Social media lit up with frustration, calling the decision unfair. "He earned that spot," one fan wrote. "Paperwork shouldn't decide talent." The producers released a short statement citing the show's policy, but avoided details, likely to protect both parties. For Enkh, the decision was devastating. After all the work, all the dreams, all the faith that brought him halfway around the world, it ended with a technicality. And yet, his response revealed his character. Instead of anger or bitterness, he thanked his fans and promised to keep singing. He didn't complain, he didn't argue, he simply moved forward. That quiet strength spoke louder than any headline. The disappointment was real, but so was the respect he earned for handling it with grace. While the show moved on without him, Enkh's story didn't fade. It evolved. The door that closed at AGT was about to open into something far greater than anyone, including him, had expected. Because what looked like the end of his dream was really just the start of his legacy. And the world was about to find out how far that voice could go. After AGT wins stages. Momentum. When the lights of America's Got Talent dimmed, most viewers assumed Enkh Erdene would quietly fade into memory. Another contestant who came close but didn't win. They were wrong. The moment he stepped off that stage, his life began moving faster than ever. The headlines shifted from disqualified to rising star. The world stage that AGT had opened for him was just the beginning of something much bigger. Back home in Mongolia, the response was electric. Thousands gathered at the airport to welcome him, waving flags and holding signs with his name. News cameras captured the moment he stepped through the gate, overwhelmed by the applause. To his people, he wasn't a disqualified contestant. He was a national hero. He had stood on one of the biggest stages in the world, sung his heart out in a foreign language, and reminded everyone that talent knows no borders. That homecoming marked a turning point. For the first time, a Mongolian artist had reached global audiences in a genre far removed from their homeland's traditions. Enkh Erdene wasn't just representing himself anymore. He was representing his country. He was living proof that Mongolian music could stand shoulder to shoulder with Nashville's best. The pride of that realization sparked something new. Momentum. Within months, invitations began pouring in. Festivals in Asia, Europe, and even parts of the United States wanted him on their stages. His signature blend of deep, soulful vocals and traditional Mongolian tones set him apart wherever he went. At one show in Seoul, fans filled the venue wearing cowboy hats, singing along phonetically to songs they barely understood. They didn't need to know every word. The emotion said it all. Then came the awards. In 2014, Enkh Erdene was honored with the Knight's Award for Outstanding Country Singer of the Year, beating performers from nearly 30 countries. It was a historic moment, not just because he won, but because no Mongolian artist had ever claimed such a title. For him, that trophy wasn't just a career milestone. It was a message to the world. A voice from the steppes could echo across continents. That victory caught the attention of New Nomad Records, a label known for championing global crossover talent. They offered Enkh a recording deal that gave him the freedom to experiment, to merge the soulful storytelling of country music with the textures of Mongolian folk. It was the perfect home for his sound. Behind studio doors, he began shaping music that honored both Nashville and Ulaanbaatar, proving that cultural boundaries were meant to be crossed, not feared. But Enkh's story wasn't just unfolding in studios. His live shows became legendary. He performed with a quiet confidence, the kind that came not from fame, but from gratitude. Crowds from Los Angeles to London stood to their feet before the last note faded. Critics who once questioned his authenticity were now calling him one of the most distinctive voices in modern country music. Each concert felt like a homecoming, no matter where it was held. Fans from Mongolia traveled hours to see him perform, bringing flags, gifts, and tears of pride. Western fans came for the novelty and stayed for the truth, that his voice was as real as it had ever been. In a strange twist of fate, AGT had tried to contain him, but the show's rules had only set him free. His exit gave him ownership of his artistry. Without the show's restrictions, he could release, perform, and evolve on his own terms. And he did, brilliantly. But this wasn't just about stages and trophies. What came next would prove that Enkh Erdene wasn't chasing fame. He was building something far deeper, a musical bridge between worlds, records and cross-border collaborations. If America's Got Talent was the spark, the music that followed became the fire. When Enkh Erdene released his debut album, Amidral Bayan, it wasn't just a collection of songs, it was a statement. The title, meaning the story of life, perfectly captured his vision: to blend Mongolian spirit with American soul, and to prove that country music could speak in more than one language. From the opening track, listeners knew this was no imitation. Enkh's sound carried the familiar ache of Nashville storytelling, yet layered with instruments that whispered of the steppes, horse-head fiddles, throat-sung harmonics, and subtle drum patterns that mirrored the rhythm of galloping horses. Songs like Chameleon and Chiminam became instant fan favorites, bridging the emotional gap between two worlds that had never shared a musical stage before. Critics took notice. International reviews praised the record as fresh, fearless, and rooted in authenticity. One publication called it a genre all its own, a cultural handshake between East and West. In Mongolia, it was a national event. Fans filled record stores and online charts, thrilled to see their homeland represented in a genre they had only watched from afar. In America, it became a curiosity turned revelation, a reminder that country music's heart beats far beyond Texas or Tennessee. But Enkh wasn't content to stay within borders, musical or otherwise. The success of Amidral Bayan opened doors to collaborations that few could have predicted. American producers who had worked with country legends reached out, eager to explore his unique tone. Asian artists from Japan, Korea, and Thailand invited him to record cross-genre duets, fascinated by how seamlessly his voice could blend with theirs. His next chapter unfolded through partnerships that tested creative boundaries. One standout moment was a collaboration with an American folk trio on a reimagined version of Take Me Home Country Roads. The track began with traditional Mongolian instruments before sliding into a familiar country melody. When Enkh's deep, resonant voice entered, it didn't just reinterpret the song, it transformed it into a cultural anthem. The video, filmed across Mongolian plains and American highways, went viral, amassing millions of views and redefining what a country song could be. In interviews, Enkh explained that these collaborations weren't just about exposure, they were about connection. Music is a language, he said, and if we listen long enough, we realize we've been singing the same songs in different tongues. That philosophy guided every project he touched. Whether performing at the Asian Music Awards or sharing stages at Nashville's CMA Fest, he brought the same humility that had captivated audiences years earlier. Behind the scenes, Enkh also began mentoring younger Mongolian musicians who dreamed of breaking into the global scene. He often told them that success didn't mean abandoning their roots. It meant carrying them further. Through workshops, online sessions, and studio collaborations, he became not just a performer, but a cultural bridge. His new work, under New Nomad Records, pushed that mission even further. The label gave him creative control, allowing him to record bilingual tracks, experiment with folk-pop fusions, and work with engineers across 3 continents. For Enkh, it wasn't about proving himself anymore. It was about celebrating what made his story unique. Every note, every verse, every collaboration became part of a larger goal: to make Mongolian country music a recognized part of the global soundscape. And with each project, that dream drew closer to reality. Yet even with awards, albums, and viral acclaim, Enkh Erdene's real legacy wasn't just in the songs he sang. It was in the global community he built around them. And that connection was about to take on a life of its own. Global community and what we really know. By the time Enkh Erdene's music reached millions across continents, he had become more than an artist. He had become a movement. From TikTok clips to international stages, his voice found a home everywhere it traveled. His performances weren't just concerts anymore, they were global gatherings. Fans from Mongolia to America, from Tokyo to Berlin, tuned in not only for the music, but for the story it told. A story of perseverance, humility, and unity through sound. Social media played a massive part in that transformation. What began as small clips of him performing acoustic covers grew into a digital community that blurred borders entirely. On Instagram and TikTok, Enkh shared moments of everyday life, working in the studio, laughing with friends, or riding through the Mongolian countryside with his guitar strapped to his back. These weren't polished marketing posts. They were glimpses of the man behind the microphone, and fans connected to that honesty. Comment sections became multilingual celebrations. Mongolian fans expressed pride in seeing their culture shine. Americans wrote about rediscovering their love for country music through him. And young musicians from all over the world thanked him for proving that you didn't need to be born in Nashville to sing from the heart. His followers weren't just spectators, they were participants in something bigger, a worldwide exchange of culture through music. Then came the live streams. During the years when travel and tours were uncertain, Enkh turned to online performances. With a simple setup, a microphone, a camera, and that unmistakable voice, he filled screens with warmth. Fans watched from different time zones, leaving hearts and flag emojis in the comments, united by songs they couldn't always translate, but could always feel. When he sang, language didn't matter. Emotion did. That global community also became a place of support. When he released new songs, his followers promoted them voluntarily. When he spoke about Mongolian traditions, they shared his videos to spread awareness. Slowly, he became something rare. An artist who didn't just gain fans, he built bridges. Critics began calling him the Nomad Voice, a fitting title for a man whose art belonged everywhere and nowhere, all at once. But as Enkh's fame grew, so did curiosity about the man behind the music. Rumors began circulating online about his personal life, stories of a secret marriage, speculation about wealth, and even tabloid-style claims about where he lived. None of it was ever confirmed. Enkh himself chose silence. He didn't deny or feed the gossip. He simply stayed focused on his art. In interviews, when asked about relationships or money, he would smile politely and steer the conversation back to his music. That decision, to guard his private life, became part of his integrity. In an industry where oversharing is the norm, his restraint earned respect. Fans realized that his boundaries weren't coldness, they were intention. He wanted the spotlight to stay where it belonged, on the work. In the end, Enkh Erdene turned controversy into purpose, shared Mongolian culture with the world, and stayed humble despite fame. And maybe that mystery, the things he doesn't reveal, is part of what makes him timeless. Because when an artist keeps something sacred, the music itself becomes the message. The voice that once stunned the AGT judges has now found something deeper than fame. It's found a global home. And in that echo, the world is still listening. What surprised you most? His exit reason, or how much he achieved afterward? Drop your take in the comments. If you're rooting for cross-cultural country to keep growing, like this video, subscribe and ring the bell. Want more journeys that didn't end with a TV cut? Watch the next story on your screen now.